We were pretty famous back in high school. Trust us!
Had a whole future ahead of us, but now we suck.
All that potential now is flowing in the aqueducts.
Through the sands of time, many did forget.
But now our time has come to resurrect. But a podcast?
Sad I know, but can you blame us?
We are desperate to be much more than high school famous.
Now just close your eyes and imagine you're in a calming space.
Okay.
Where do you think of your what's not a happy place, but think of your zen. Think of your where you would go to get away from it all.
Okay.
You feel a light breeze blowing against your face.
Okay,
Unless it doesn't match
Yeah.
the place you chose to go. I should have assigned you a place to go. Because the things I could describe you experiencing.
Start over.
Let's start over. Close your eyes.
You're in a place I'm imagining.
Yeah. Imagine you're in a wind tunnel. A
Okay. Oh God.
currently
calming wind tunnel.
a currently inactive wind tunnel.
Okay.
And you're letting go of your stresses and your cares, and you're feeling them just sort of fall off your shoulders, and you're letting your shoulders relax. And then you're feeling a slight ray of sunlight shine through a structural integrity issue in the wind tunnel.
Oh, ooh. Okay, that makes me nervous.
And it feels really nice on your face.
Okay. The sun feels nice, but the
sun feels
situation
nice. Your eyes are closed, so you're not aware of the structural integrity. All you're focusing on is...
I just feel the sunlight.
You just feel like, you're like, oh, that feels nice.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe at some point it dawns on you that you're in a wind tunnel that shouldn't have a light escaping like that. But it doesn't matter right now because you're just focusing on relaxing and finding peace. And you hear someone in the distance mutter a little bit. They're sounding a little mumbly because they're far away, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're hearing...
They don't concern me.
They don't concern you. You're in your own zone. No one's affecting you from the outside. And you hear them start to chuckle to themselves. And you get a little...
funny joke.
It's a little interesting. But then you hear something, a switch kick on. A switch has been operated or activated.
Okay.
And you start to feel a slight breeze.
Oh, that feels kind of nice. It was getting warm in here. That sun was getting a little bit warm.
Yeah, the sun. Yeah, and the sun was getting a little warm because it's getting in, and then it's able to be withheld within the confines of the wind tunnel, and it amplifies it normally, or more than it normally would be if you were just outside. And the wind is starting to intensify, and you notice like a bit of pressure felt on your face, like your glasses are feeling like they're pressing hard against your face more than they should be. Your hat has blown off of your head and it's gone now. You don't know where it went. You're feeling the wind grow intensely stronger and stronger. And then the waves of the ocean that I forgot to tell you to listen to earlier are starting. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Is this what it feels like to chew 5 gum?
Yes. You chew some 5 gum, and then you have like a sloppily constructed scenario described to you that has no apparent endpoint or destination it's going toward.
Just an uncomfortable situation.
Yeah, I was gonna. I mean, I wanted to
It's what it feels like to chew some other gum, and we'll just make up really terrible situations to be in.
Yeah. Well, hey, that could be our ad campaign for whatever our gum was that we came up with.
Was additional
gum. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, I guess we got started on that. Welcome to High School Famous, the podcast that has no intro this week. I am Sean.
I'm Matt,
podcast host. So, Matt, I was curious today, and I looked at an old list that we looked at one other point. I'm trying to remember when we talked about the list of high school-related podcasts that you should follow in 2021.
That was pretty early on.
So I know that we were notified in early February of 2021.
Right.
But if you recall, at that time, when we were posting episodes, they were older recordings, and then we started alternating old and new. So I didn't know where to start looking as far as trying to find when we talked about it before.
Right.
The reason I wanted to find that is to recall what place we were on the list. Do you remember where we fell on the list of top 25?
I do not recall. It was either middle or towards the end, I would think.
Yeah, I remember somewhere middle-ish, maybe lower than middle, maybe.
Yeah, like I feel like the number 13 is in my head, but it could just be because, well, I don't know what, because it's just a number that popped into my head that seemed familiar.
Now, if you recall, the list did not actually include 25 podcasts.
I think it was like 23, right?
Yes. Now, I'm happy to report that updated, well, this says July 14th, 2022. We are still featured on the list. And the list still...
And this is a new list?
Well, it says, if you search it, it doesn't say it actually on the site itself, but if you search it, it says top 25 high school related podcasts to follow in 2022. So they updated enough of it to be current for the current year. And it still only contains 23, but we have advanced up to number 6.
Oh shit.
We're in number 6 of the top 23, I suppose you could say. Podcast related. Now, we were also wondering, how do they quantify this? Is it just the fact that it's in the name?
That has to be 100%.
Here's what it's
why.
Here's what it says on the. Maybe this is something I didn't notice the first time, or this is new. But it says the best high school podcast list curated from thousands of podcasts on the web, and I'm sure not thousands of high school related podcasts, but thousands of podcasts, and ranked by traffic, social media followers, domain authority, and freshness.
Oh shit!
Now I didn't have a moment yet to cross-reference and fact-check the data a little bit, but it does list for Facebook for our podcast. It says 67, so that makes me think it's saying that we have 67 like people that follow the Facebook page or like it or whatever.
Okay,
and then it says next to the Twitter logo is a number 3, so that might suggest that we have 3 followers, and I can actually look that up right now.
Yeah, I was checking the Facebook out right now.
Yeah, we're going to do this live.
Live, baby.
Live. I hope.
I never remember how to look for stuff on. Okay. High School Famous.
Wait, how do I? This is awesome. I deleted Twitter a long time ago, and so I'm not even logged into the podcast Twitter account anymore. So I have to figure that out. But that's, I was
bigger so I can see it.
The two that, I mean, some of these are pretty obvious. Traffic, social media followers, domain authority. I'm a little curious about. I don't know exactly what that means, or how that's measured. And then freshness. That's kind of anyone. That's open to interpretation.
Is it? Well, yeah. What? Unless they must specifically know what they mean by freshness, obviously. But like, is that like how often they post or how recently they've posted? Or so what did you say was Facebook?
67, I think. Let me go back.
That is accurate.
67.
We have 67 people that follow us on
Facebook. Then, I mean,
get out there, people. Follow us on Facebook. Christ all
I mean, we don't. We're not posting anything.
It doesn't mean shit. We don't post anything.
We don't post anything. Here's the thing. We have that dumb message at the end that says, "Oh, follow us on all of our socials," but we don't post anything anymore on any of the socials.
Yeah, but I think if we started gaining more people to follow our socials, or at least messaging us and contacting us in any sort of way, I'm sure we'd be more inclined to actually update that stuff more often.
I mean, maybe
we were pretty heavy on TikTok for a while, and then we really kind of just halted that too. So
well, we kind of made it more work for ourselves than less.
We did make that much more difficult.
But so So I'll compare it to some of the others. And I went back to the original email that guy sent us to see if I could click on the link and it would bring up last year's list, but it just brings up this year's list. So I was trying to see where we fell on last year's list, but
I feel like it was mid-range somewhere, maybe.
I believe you're right. I want to say maybe 12, 13, 14, maybe 17. I can't remember, but
it'd be funny if it was 6th and just the list was just literally copied and pasted over.
That would be awesome. So the top number one spot is a podcast called That High School Life. And it's saying there's 276 Twitter followers. They post one episode a day, which is crazy. But the average length is 24 minutes. And it looks like that's a lot of podcasting. Looks like it started June of 2018. So it's been around for a while.
And they're still going?
That is a good question.
From what you can tell.
From what we can tell. If they weren't still going, I wonder if they would qualify to be on a 2022 list.
Well, that's why I'm like, that's why I'm kind of curious. But is this list just copied pasted, or is it really?
Well, I wonder because it does. One of the qualifications, or one of the things it's measured by, is its freshness. And if it's a stale, old, non-updating podcast, that doesn't spell fresh to me.
Right.
Pretty
fresh if you're updating and putting out a new episode every day.
Yeah, that could be how I got a high freshness rating.
Yeah, to me that sounds like that is actually like kids that are going to school and they do it like during school time.
It could be part of
every day.
A class it could be part of some sort of media communications class they're taking.
Could.
That I'm gonna look it up. At High School Life. Here we are. We have, okay. I'm calling you out, Feedspot, blog.feedspot.com.
Yeah, it starts with blog. It's not super legit.
One episode a day, this is claiming. Now, maybe all the episodes are featured somewhere else. But I'm on Apple Podcast app, and the podcast does come up in a search.
Okay.
There was an episode posted on Wednesday.
Okay.
Then prior to that, it was January 31st, 2021.
Oh.
And then prior to that, it was December 15th, 2020. So a month and a half before the last one. And then June of 2020. And then April, March. So unless they're just cherry picking episodes to put here, it's not even monthly, let alone daily or weekly. So that's BS. So this blows this whole thing out of the water. They were right with ours. Ours says once a week, and the average length is 69 minutes, an hour, 9 minutes. That's fair.
Yeah.
Started in 2021. So in January even, they got the month right. So there was no reason I would question any of the other statistics on here, but now I'm just looking at that.
You look at one and it's all fucking wrong.
I should try to rally to get this podcast taken off of the top spot.
Yeah. It's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah. We're not going to stand for it. Ooh, the next one sounds enticing. A little risque, perhaps. High School Uncensored, it's called.
Oh.
According to this, there's 15 Twitter followers. They post one episode a quarter, and the average length is 50 minutes. High School Senior.
One episode a quarter.
Well, this can't last very long. It says specifically, High School Senior Ashley Zhang and her friends let you in on what's on the mind of today's high schoolers. Well, once they're done, this started in September of 2020. If they were a high school senior, they're not a high school senior anymore. So there's no way unless someone else took over that's a high school senior, there's no...
Look that one up.
Yeah.
Let's look that one up. We're getting to the bottom of this, people. There's no way we shouldn't be number one. Also, there's no way we should be on this list because we don't. Our show is not about high school.
Yeah, the first one, or this one definitely sounds like it is. Let me read the description of the other one. That High School Life is a podcast about high school. Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
Done. No. It's hosted by Joe Takar, a high school teacher at an international school in Germany. So that's fair.
That's fair. Why is that fair?
Well, they're a teacher, so they could be there for way longer than.
Oh yeah, so they can do it forever. I thought you meant like because you said that's fair after the Germany thing. I'm like, but why is that fair? Is that what makes it fair?
So there was interesting. So there was an episode of High School Uncensored on May 9th. It says College Core. Enjoyed this podcast as much as I did. Want more content? Check out my other podcast, I'm a College Crisis. Same content, same host, same guest. So they did abandon the high school theme once they went to college, which makes sense.
Yeah, but when did they last post an episode?
Well, there was an episode on August 17th of 2021. So if this started in September 2020 when they were a senior, they would have finished around June of 2021. So in August, they have an episode called The End of the Line, basically the last episode of High School Uncensored. Despite that, if you ever feel that need to reach out, please do so. So they're basically saying, I'm done doing this high school podcast because I'm not in high school
in
anymore.
August.
In August of 2021. So the August after they graduated. So just 2 months after graduation.
So
June 7th, 2021. You think this is a podcast episode, but it's just me trying to get to become a model for 1 hour, 4 minutes and 5 seconds. That's bizarre. So they were posting regularly in like May of 2021, and then April they had a few episodes, like 4 episodes. March,
but basically nothing in 2022.
2022, no. Except this one that was on May 9th, but I'm pretty sure that's just them like promoting the college podcast.
Their new one, yeah. For those of you who listened to this, come over here.
Yeah.
So because they posted 1 episode this year, they remained on the list.
Yeah, I suppose.
Even though the episode was a promotion for a different podcast.
Yeah. So I'm questioning the vetting process for this list. We already were, but now maybe more so.
100% we already were, considering like they clearly don't know anything about us.
Now this one
at all.
Number 3, I don't agree should be here.
Okay.
The reason being, it's called Cylinder Radio. It has 1.7 thousand Twitter followers, which that's impressive. There's 1 episode a month. Mm-hmm. Average length is about an hour. But it says, this is an educational podcast focused on a deep exploration of controversial topics. Hosted by William Roosh, a Los Angeles-based... Oh, never mind. They're a high school teacher. I didn't read that part. Nope, that's not the one I was questioning. They're a high school teacher. So checks out. The official podcast of Southern Lehigh High School, The Spartan Life. That's fair. This one's interesting. So there's one called Planet Geo Podcast, a science podcast. Let's talk science on Planet Geo. Join Chris, an award-winning geology teacher, and Jesse, a geoscience professor, in discussing the amazing features of our planet and their impact on your everyday life. Jesse, Chris, and their expert guests discuss geology, biology, astronomy, climatology, volcanology, and almost every other ology out there. So it's a science-based podcast. So I guess unless, because one says geology teacher, I don't know if they teach geology in high school. I don't remember learning geology specifically.
So I'm wondering if the vetting process for this list was...
You are a podcast.
Well, this person who made this list went on some podcasting platform, be it Apple or Spotify or Stitcher, whatever, and searched the key phrase high school and then just wrote down the top quote unquote 25 that they found. Which,
hey, that's pretty good for us.
I mean, if I've never done that personally, Googled or not Googled, but went on like Apple and just searched the key phrase high school to see what comes up.
Well, I'm going to do that right now.
Podcast, but
high school.
I mean, it would not surprise me if that's what happened.
Okay, I'm searching high school, and I need to go to.
I'm curious what does it pop up, or if we show up on like
the
list.
There's the top result is naturally a show called High School.
Okay.
High school stories, high school matters, extra dynamic with your something or other. I don't know how I don't know how that came up with under high school. High school sucked. Okay. Yeah, we're not showing up.
It's a bummer.
We are. Yeah. Wow. I'm still going. I'm still scrolling. Being that the first 2 words,
not even in the top 100.
Yeah, I know. And it's weird because being that the first 2 words of our 3-word title our high school, you would think
Yeah.
we would come up as a pretty early strong match to the search.
Right.
But again, how much is the algorithm pushing more well-known popular things versus, okay, let me count before.
So I just went on Stitcher real quick and typed and did the same thing. And we are the 23rd on the list in Stitcher.
Cool. On Apple Podcasts, we are the 147th result, right before Real Crime Profile and Late Night with Seth Meyers podcast. So at least we show up before that.
But what the fuck? The first, like you said, the first 2 words are high school.
I know.
At least with
I'm really questioning.
Stitcher.
I'm really questioning the search algorithm on Apple Podcasts big time right now.
Yeah. So that one. Yeah. So I would say of the top 25, all but or the top. What I say, we were number 23.
I think so.
But even after that, of all of those, there's only 2 or 3 that don't have high school in the title.
What did you search on?
That's on Stitcher.
Stitcher. Okay. I mean, I
so,
don't.
Yeah,
I
do question Apple's search algorithm.
Yeah,
that's
a lot.
That's really weird that we would come up that low.
I mean, to be fair to this list, they all seem to be school based. The one below us is Teacher Answers, and then High School Life, and then High School Coaches Club. So, a giant prerequisite for them could be that high school is in the name. We have a lot of podcasts on this list where high school is either the beginning or the end of the name. Some of these don't have the word high school in them at all, but so maybe there is some sort of reasoning behind the people who landed on this list, or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's. I mean, we can't say it's 100% based on the name. Like this one's called School Playbook. Teaching off the books, ingenuity and community. That just doesn't jump out to say high school. So Governor's Radio, but in the description they mention high school on some of these that don't have high school in the name. So ours, maybe we're so high on the list because we have high school in the title and in the description.
Perhaps.
I mean, here's the thing. So the podcast is called High School Famous. We say Sean Tattoo and Matthew Schlegel are 2 high school friends who talk about things, stuff, and probably high school. So, I mean, we're all over. High school is all over the place. How are we not number 1?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
maybe we don't have as high a freshness rating as the Spartan.
And to kind of coincide with the fact that our podcast really in the end has nothing to do with high school specifically. We don't talk about but okay, either way.
Let's not jeopardize this.
They're we're going to get pulled off the list.
We're number 6. We're number 6, baby.
But if we've made it this whole time, we've gone a year and a half of doing this. And clearly if somebody listened to this, would realize very quickly, okay, yeah, they just kind of talk about whatever the fuck.
People. These guys are frauds.
Yeah,
they never went to high school. I bet.
We got a email recently. This is just to prove that people send us things or put us on things without actually knowing anything about. They don't do any vetting process of figuring out will this actually fit or work for what we're putting them on.
When you say we got
we got an email to our high school famous at gmail.com.
I think I read these, but I didn't really read them too intently.
So this just says, "Hi, we love what you're doing at the High School Famous podcast. Are you looking for a great guest and all-in-one solution for family financial literacy and teaching kids about money?" So it's immediately I'm just this. They're sent these generic pre-built emails trying to get this person out there to interview for, on different interview platforms. But it's I don't know our full analytics of who specifically listens to us, but I highly doubt it's going to be kids.
Yeah.
That need to learn about financial shit and financial literacy and how to handle money and stuff. But basically, they sent us an email to have this guy come on, and they're promoting some like program or something that I'm not even going to mention on here.
Yeah, so this guy's trying
free
to
advertising.
Yeah, he's hired some company or service to get his name out there and get himself booked on these shows. It's like when you get some random email from some either a company or a staffing something or other that's like, you seem to be a great candidate for,
Yeah, like, oh, we saw your resume and blah 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 blah. Like I still get emails like that every once, because I'm sure I don't remember what websites I'd ever put like my resume and shit on back in the day looking for jobs and stuff. And I'm sure that stuff's still up there, but obviously super out of date, like, or whatever. But I still will get emails or random phone calls, like, hey, are you looking for a job? Blah, blah, blah. We have one in like Egan. I'm like, I don't live in Minnesota anymore. Yeah, I get them all. I still get tons of them from Minnesota. I never get anything out here looking for people like, but then it's always like, yeah, it starts at this much an hour and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, that'd be quite the pay cut.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it too. They clearly have no idea because they're offering you way less than what you currently make. I mean, I don't know.
But it starts at $14 an hour. I'm like, yeah, and it's second shift. Oh, awesome.
But you don't
chef's kiss
on those type of sites. Like if you're talking about LinkedIn or Indeed jobs or something like that.
Yeah,
you kind of just put what you would like to make, like a range, right? You don't put like, here's what I currently make an hour.
I think if you're searching, so I don't think, obviously you just upload your resume or whatever and have your profile. But if you're like searching for a job, you'll put in like key phrases or whatever and then put like maybe a pay range that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And it'll kind of sort things through.
I think you can also just put that stuff at like a profile level where it's like you can put your skills and your desired salary in a,
it's been forever since I've looked at one of those. So
yeah, I mean, I'm is it next week? No, I think I'm 2 weeks away roughly from hitting 10 years. No, wow. It's this coming Saturday. I technically will cross my 10-year mark at my current company, and I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, it feels like an impressive feat, but then also you're like, but is this my dream job?
Well,
is this what I want to be doing? You hit a point of either excitement or crisis.
Yeah. The funny thing is actually with this job, I'm sure there are plenty of companies like this, but this is the first time that I've been in this type of a situation. I'm still sort of one of the newer people there. Like,
that's crazy.
Well, because there was a wave of hiring after I got hired. So there were a few other groups that came in, but some of them were transfers from other centers that already had years. Some of them were off the street, but a lot of them aren't there anymore.
They're back on the street.
So largely, I'm still pretty low on the tenure list as far as years under my belt. Crazy. I mean, there was a department I was trying to get into for a while, and I I didn't get in because I didn't know some systems, but at the time. But anyway, I joked that the only way you could get into this certain department is if you got hired when Friends was the most popular show on TV. Because aside from maybe one person, I think there's one person that works in there that was hired in the 70s, but everyone else was like mid to late 90s was their start year.
That's kind of crazy.
But I
heard
after, but from someone that works in that department, because I was learning only one type of account to support, and now that when I changed roles, like whatever year that was, 2016, I think, I learned to support the other types of accounts.
Right.
And what someone had said was, yeah, you probably didn't get in because you only knew the one type of accounts at first, these certain systems to use. Because everyone in that department wanted me to get hired into that department, but I just didn't. And plus, they also said that the guy who used to run that department he's not there anymore. He's left the company.
Right.
But he used to be very like he would base what you wore to the interview on whether or not he would even consider you.
Oh, Jesus.
And I was like I just wore what I would typically wear. I don't like when people come in for an interview and they're all dolled up. They're dressing way nicer than they normally would be because it's just screaming, "Hey, I'm applying for something else." And so I just didn't call that attention to myself. I think I might have worn something slightly a little more professional, but not I didn't make it like blatantly
business
obvious.
Casual versus like, you're not going to go in a tux.
Yeah, well, because
this place, what's the old saying of always like, dress for the job you want, not the job you're applying for or whatever. So,
but the thing is,
that's
in that only fits certain scenarios or certain career paths. Like if you work at a job and then the department you're trying to get into dresses exactly the same, you can't apply that. You can't apply that strategy to yourself because they're all gonna. You could wear pajama pants and a t-shirt and flip-flops working there.
That's the job I want.
Yeah, but so there's no like strict. There's a pretty loose dress code. So
I was just thinking of a scenario of like you're applying to work in a mailroom, but your dream job is to be a fry cook. So you dress for the job you want.
Well, yeah, people have done stuff like that too, right? Where let's say you want to be something that would involve a uniform. Let's say you want
a pilot.
Let's say, or sure, a pilot. But let's say there you go. So you just dress in a pilot's uniform when you're
They're like, why are you wearing the pilot's uniform? Well, I mean, I want to be a pilot.
Yeah.
Well, this is a TGI Fridays that you're
people get
for.
confused when you approach their table and ask if you can get them anything to drink.
Yeah.
Weird.
Now, if you were wearing a stewardess's outfit,
I think that
sorry, a flight attendant's outfit.
Yeah, dude.
Sorry, that was very. I don't know what you consider that.
Timist.
Yeah, I was gonna say ageist, but that's not really.
But Matt, like women aren't going through enough right now as it is, and you're gonna.
So you assume all flight attendants are women?
All stewardesses, which you like to call
it'd
them.
Be a steward otherwise, right?
Yeah, that's why I said that. Don't throw that on me.
Yeah, I suppose flight attendant is a non-gendered term,
right?
Where stewardess was, I guess, very gendered. It'd be the same as waitress and
anything like that. An actress, a policewoman.
I think policewoman is still okay to say.
I mean, wouldn't you just say police officer?
You say police officer. Yeah, but
firefighter. Male.
I suppose.
Male
yeah,
carrier.
You say, are there any female police officers? Yeah,
but I mean, aren't most
unless it's a different type of mail carrier in which you're a person who carries around men.
Well, I was going to throw in something like
you're a man who carries.
You're just I'm a male carrier.
And you are
well, then you're throwing in a gender distinction to that role. You should say I'm a carrier. I'm a thing carrier. I carry things. So I had a bit of an adventurous day yesterday. Would you like to hear about my adventure yesterday?
100% yes.
I was bored and I wanted to leave my place. So I went to a thing called a mall.
Was this earlier in the day?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Or later in the evening?
No.
Okay.
It was earlier in the day, and I went to a mall.
Okay. Was it a large mall?
It was your standard mall. It was not a substantially large mall.
It was not an of mall?
It was not an of mall.
Okay.
And I was about to leave. I didn't end up buying anything. I was just I wanted to just walk around and kill some time for whatever reason. I want to say this was maybe 4 in the afternoon-ish. And I was getting thirsty, so I got a drink from one of the vending machines there, but I also wanted a snack. So this area of vending machines was just beverages. And I knew there were vending machines somewhere in the mall that had snacks. I was going to try to think of some word that is a non-liquid food a solid food, I guess, solid snacks.
Food.
Food.
I mean, you can have solid liquid.
You could. You could also have liquid food.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's no getting around it. I mean, there's no special term for this. But anyway, so I found one. I'm trying to stretch this out to be like there's a lot happening,
like an actual adventure.
So I searched.
Just add some. Yeah.
I searched far and wide.
There was a snowstorm.
I even entered a structurally compromised wind tunnel at some point.
Oh.
So I found a machine of vending, and it had snacks. And I'm like, I'm going to get two things. So I punched in the number of the first thing.
Right.
And then which was for a little teeny bag of Mike and Ike's. Next to the Mike and Ike's was the hot tamales candy, which is made by the same company. But I was feeling Mike and Ike's instead. And then I wanted to get something more chocolatey than that. So I got the next number I punched was for the Milky Way candy bar.
Right. Next
to the Milky Way candy bar, Chewy Sprees. When's the last time you had a spree?
Ooh, boy. When was the early 2000s?
It was right when it's exactly what when they were.
It's like that's the Jeopardy version of that answer.
Yeah. So I punched in the number for Mike and Ike's. I want to say it was like 507 or something.
Okay.
And then the number for
it's a big vending machine.
I know. Luckily, that was like right about eye level. Like there's a ladder next to it. If you want something in the upper, if you want something in the 200s and down to 1, you need to get a ladder or a tall friend or a giraffe that can read. You need a lot. There's a lot of things you can try to do. You like an emotional
read and then tell you.
Yeah, and communicate back what's there, or just one that knows how to use a camera, and then they can just hand you the camera, and you can look at what they took
or a
picture
selfie stick. Then you could like
a selfie stick would work.
Yeah. Hold it up there, and
I'm gonna shoot for an emotional support giraffe because you need to have that type of giraffe to be able to be allowed in the mall. Assuming, I guess not all malls are created equal, so some might just allow zoo animals. Maybe there's a mall that has a zoo in it. There has to be some kind of crazy part of the world where there's a zoo inside a mall.
Yeah, probably.
Anywho.
Probably Japan.
What are you saying?
Japan just does like weird combinations of things sometimes.
Interesting things. Interesting. Let's not put a judgy label on it, Matt.
Weird. To my Western eyes, it's weird.
Okay, so you're just going sticking with the judgy tone on. Okay, perfect. So
yeah, I fucking love Japan though. I want to go there so bad. Anyways,
so I
but they won't let me bring my emotional support giraffe on the plane.
Well, I'm sure there are plenty available there just to rent.
But then I would have to like attune it to me and stuff, and it would take time.
They probably have some sort of like chip inside that links it to you. Like so
it's just like a robot. It's an android.
Yeah, it's a
giraffe.
It's a girandroid. Anyway, this is going to be
Anywho.
The climax of the story is going to be a gigantic letdown.
I'm helping you drag the story along.
And I want to say the number to select the Milky Way candy bar was 507. So we're looking at 50. Did I say that before? That number?
I think you said 507 for the mic.
So then the Milky Way might be.
That's where the problem's at.
That's where it all fell apart. No, then it would be 501. Right? The numbers look
okay. 501, 507.
The numbers can appear somewhat similar. There was right,
like five things between, right?
Correct. So I select the first number 507, then I select 501 to select my Milky Way.
Mm-hmm.
I swipe my card. I complete the purchase. So I'm saying I don't want to select any more items. These are the two I want. Immediately, the spirals for both the Mike and Ike's and the hot tamales start to spin. They're right next to each other.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, both things fall down.
Okay.
And I was like, did I do that wrong? I'm like, did I select the number for both? Like, did I put the wrong number in for the Milky Way and accidentally pick the hot tamales instead? And I'm like, well, I'll wait a couple seconds. And then all of a sudden, the spirals for the Milky Way and the Spree start to spin. And they both just dump down.
Interesting.
And I didn't notice when the first time it happened, I didn't really notice that both were coming out. I wasn't like watching the vending machine. I was just like waiting for the stuff to fall down. So I thought maybe, the way the snacks were arranged, that one just kind of like got pulled with the other. Something might have happened. Like there was a collision or there was some sort of interaction that caused both to fall down. But then I paid I was paying attention to the machine after that because I'm like, well, is my correct snack going to come next? So I was watching it and I saw both the spirals move. So you guys can pretty well figure out what happened by this point.
That
I got
the numbers were for a set of things. Or did we just figured out that you got 4 items for the price of 2?
Some sort of malfunction maybe got me. I didn't like put more money into like test this out and try more things. But,
right, like let me try everything.
Yeah, so I looked around after that. I'm like, is there something on here that says like 2 for 1 or
am I being punked?
Yeah, but I did notice that on the upper levels, the ones that just the giraffe can see, there were wider items like bags of chips that would normally occupy both spirals.
Right.
So what I think is this was a machine designed to have just like a bunch of chips in it. And then for some reason, someone decided to throw in some candy bars and other types of candy in another section of it. And maybe this is what's going to happen every time someone buys one of those items.
There's like settings they can change for.
Yeah, like
if it does 2 versus 1 or something.
Well, the weird part about it is there was a number assigned to each individual item.
Yeah, so I wonder what would have happened if you would have picked the
hot tamale item.
If you would have picked the hot tamales, would it have
just given me both?
Done just the one, or would it given you both? Yeah.
So I'm curious,
but you didn't test that theory.
I didn't. I wanted to get out of there, and I'm trying to like.
I felt like I was stealing, so I wanted to escape as quickly as I could.
No, not that. It's not that at all. If the machine makes that mistake, that's not my problem.
Oh yeah, that's on the machine.
Yeah, and those that maintain it and own it, but. I'm trying to be like, better with what I eat, and I'm trying to, drop a few LBs as they say. And so me getting like double the candy I was intending to get is not good for me in that regard. So I'm not going to sit there and
you're like, I'm clearly going to eat this.
Yeah. So I'm not going to like, let me see if this happens another twice in a row or 3 times in a row.
You just keep buying more and more. Just emptying the machine for half the price.
Yeah. Hey, it worked.
Yeah. Now what?
So, I mean, I'm sure someday I'll find myself going back there, and maybe if I'm curious, I'll try it again. But it didn't seem like a fluke. It seemed like that's just how the machine behaves.
Right.
So, but then
and I'm sure nobody, it's in a mall, so it's not like people are going to be like, hey, let's let somebody know about this. Cause it's patrons who are getting free candy. They're like, cool.
Yeah, and if you tell someone, like, what do? You either tell someone that works in a store in the mall, which they have nothing to do with the vending machines.
They're not going to care. Or you find security who possibly wouldn't care either.
Yeah, so who is like, is there like a general mall management that would deal with that? Probably, but I'm not going to seek that person out or that group out.
Whoever is the person who is in charge of like probably like some sort of a facilities manager. It's the person who's, making sure the bathrooms are staying clean, making sure things are operating correctly. So they probably deal with vendors of those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I mean, a lot of vending machines have that sort of little way to report if your money got eaten or your snack didn't come out. So maybe there's something like that I could have filled out, but that would get checked once a week or once a month maybe, and when someone comes in to
however
refill
often
the
they
machine.
go in there and check them, but it's like, and then but it's like,
but it's in a mall, so like,
it's in a mall, does it behoove you to fucking care?
Well, that, and now that I think about it, that type of system, what are the odds that, let's say you lost $1.25 in the machine, it's at a mall, are you going to fill out this thing and then come back to the mall like every day to check to see if your money got returned? I'm sure it'd
be like you put your address on it or something, and they just mail it to you or something. But it's like,
that seems archaic.
If you lose your, like, there's a different thing if it's like, if it's a vending machine at your job,
right? Yeah, that's when you find those types of things.
They give you your money back. But at a mall, if you lose 50 cents or $1 in a machine, you just kind of lost your 50 cents or $1. Like, unless you find. I mean, because even a maintenance person or, if you find like a cleaning person there and be like, hey, this machine stole my money, they're going to be like, well, that machine's maintained by whatever company that owns all the machines in this thing. Like, there could probably just be a number you could call. I'm sure there's just a number you can call and be like, hey, your machine stole my money, and then they would refund you or something. I'm sure they wouldn't have you fill out a sheet or anything.
No.
I'm sure that's how it's probably done.
So, huzzah! That's what happened.
Well, candy adventure for Sean.
Yeah. Another thing which is a little goofy. Later on, actually in about in an hour from now, I will be attending a Minnesota Twins game.
Yes, we talked about that last night
with Eric and Megan, and I'm not sure if others are going to be there, but at least Eric and Megan. And he texted me this morning saying, "Hey, do you still want to go to the game?" And I was in the middle of doing the Quirtle. If you know what the Quirtle is.
Sounds familiar.
You know about the Wordle, right? You know the New York Times.
I know about Wordle.
Well, the Quirtle it's 4 words you have to figure out, and you have a total of, I forget how many guesses, maybe 9 or something. But every time you guess, it affects all 4 sections. So it's not like you have 9 guesses for each word. You have to figure out all 4 words in 9 guesses. So every time you guess, it'll tell you which letters are right in each word, and if they're in the right spots or in the wrong spots, and all that.
Is that just a daily website thing too, or is that like an app?
It's a daily website. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was down to the last word, and I only had 1 guess left, but it was a situation where it's only one of 2 possibilities. Based on all the letters that were eliminated, which ones I haven't guessed yet, it could be this word or this word. And it's just a matter of...
Like foxes or boxes.
Right.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Which one?
It's just a matter of me guessing the right one out of 50-50, which I typically have bad luck with, or bad results with. But here, before I get into the actual thing, I would consider that I still figured it out. If I've got it down to 2 possible words and I just happen to guess the wrong one of those 2, I still know I still knew what the answer was.
Yeah, but in the eyes of the game, you still failed.
No, I know that. Like, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm going, well, I figured out which word, or, I figured out what it was. It's not like I was just completely lost. There are times I'm like, I have no idea, and I'm way off on my... Anyway, so he said, you still want to go to the Twins game? And I said, do you do the Quirtle? He said, I'm horrible at word games. I said, okay, all you have to do is choose between going and doing, because those are my 2 options of that word. But all I said was, you have to just pick one of these 2 words. And he like maybe thought about it too much and he thought I was trying to make him put the word doing or going into the question about whether or not I'm attending the game or not, and do that in the right way so it would affect whether or not I was going.
I'm either coming to the game or playing in the game.
Right. So he said,
you choose.
So he said, are you doing the Twins game today? And I was going to then put in the guess for doing, but then he said, or are you going to the Twins game today? So either way, whether he thought he was just supposed to pick one of those 2 words or fit it into a question, he still just did both anyway. So it didn't even accomplish what I was wanting to do. So I said, hey, now you can't guess both. And he said, neither question makes sense. I'm thinking, it's not, you're not supposed to turn this into a question. I'm asking you a question. You just answer one or the other. And then I just gave up and said, I'll go. But then he said, but I think doing is a better sentence out of context. So he was thinking way too much about it. And I just said, the answer was going. Then he said, still want to going to the Twins game? Shouldn't be the answer, but as I said, I'm horrible at word games. So he was putting way too much pressure on himself for this thing. And
you just stressed him the fuck out today.
I said, I'll explain later. So I'll explain it to him at the game, but he said, all right, I'm a little lost. Want to meet us there? He will laugh and he will pinch the bridge of his nose. Yes,
because that's what he does.
So I was like, oh man, I just asked you to pick one of these 2 words. That's all I asked you to do. But that's funny. And maybe that's why he's horrible at word games. He's trying to do way more than he's supposed to.
He overthinks.
He gets in his own way.
He gets too much math involved.
So needless to say, I guessed the word doing because that was the first thing he said, and it was wrong. The word was going, so I didn't get all the words. Bummer.
Dude, that'll happen. Like, I'll play Wordle. And that'll happen where it's like, it literally can be like, because you get 5 guesses.
Yeah.
But like, I'll do my first guess and they'll give me a couple letters. I'm like, okay, it's probably this. And then you'll guess that word. And now I have the last 4 letters, but it can be several words.
I run into that
you
all
guess
the time.
The wrong effing one up until like you get 6 guesses. Up until like your 6th guess, you finally get it. But it's just down the line. It's just showing you like, oh, 4 letters, 4 letters,
Yeah.
4 letters,
That
4
same
letters.
miss,
and then
that
you
one,
get it. It's
that
like,
one missing
come
letter.
on.
Yeah. And I'll get overconfident there. I'll be like, let's say it's early on in the guessing process. I'm like, oh, I can
Yeah.
figure this out. But then you waste like 3 guesses. This happens.
Yeah.
This is worse. This is worse in the Quirtle when this happens because you're wasting, all these guesses on these other words to try to figure out this one. And you're like, by the time you get it, you're like, well, I have 2 guesses left and I have 3 words to figure out. There's no way I can get it now. It's impossible.
Right.
So yeah, but if you have something like where it happens to me the most is it's either the first letter I can't figure out and there's like 8 or 9 words as a possible answer, or it's like the middle letter. It's like,
Yeah.
like DI blank ER. Well, is it diver? Is it diner? Is it dimer? Is it, all these options. And you're like you said, you guess, nope, still 4 letters. You guess another
I guess
one,
the
nope.
wrong one so many freaking times.
And then you're like, then
annoying.
it tells you what the answer was, and it's like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah. And it's weird. Like, yeah, it, like, I'll literally get stressed out playing that stupid game sometimes because I'm just like, I'll have a couple letters and then my brain just doesn't work. And I'm just like, what the fuck could this word be?
And that happens to me too.
Nothing makes sense.
No, that happens to me too. I'm like, because I'm not sure if you do this, but I'll tell you my big secret strategy at the beginning. Okay. Here's how I always start these games off. And it's just these 2. I daily do the Wordle and the Quirtle. That's all I do. But I feel that vowels are very important.
Very important.
So I always guess the same set of words. The first 2 guesses are words that eliminate all the vowels, and they also don't repeat any consonants.
Right.
So I can know right from the first 2 guesses which vowels I'm dealing with in each word.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get those weird ones where it's like there's all of a sudden there's only one vowel that in one of the words there's only one vowel that's there. It's like, let's say it's just an E.
Right.
And then you go up, okay, you give up on that because there's other words in the 4 that you have more letters revealed, so you start working on those. And then by the time you get down to the end, you can have it where so many letters have been guessed, but still the only one that's in that first word is the letter E. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
that's when the Y usually comes into play. Because you're like, how can I make what with the letters that are left? I'm like, how can I make a word that just has an E in it, but all there is a J, a K, a Z, and an X or something?
Yeah.
There's a few other letters.
And
But
then you're like, oh, 2 E's.
that's another one.
Double letters. Fuck. me
2
up in
E's. Yeah, when you have the double of the double vowels, and when there's a Y that
or just double letters in general.
Yeah, that's another one I get messed up. Not when there's one missing letter, but when there's 2, it's like it could be RRY, it could be LLY, it could be NNY. Like that sucks too. Or it could be like ER or RKY. I'm thinking of the word like jerky or jelly or something, or Jerry. But yeah,
Jury.
Well, that's 4
1 R.
letters.
That's 4-letter word.
4 letters.
Yeah. Thought of it
yeah.
right as I said it. I'm like, that's not how you spell jury.
Nope. What were you thinking is JURRY?
I was just, because it was like, oh, Jerry. I'm like, or jury. I'm like, wait, no, it's not 2 R's.
Or Jory. Or Jari. Or Jari might be. Is Jari a word? Jari.
I don't know.
I mean, there's a jar. There's
that
jarring.
ride was a bit jarry.
Well, you could say it's jarring. You would say it's jarring.
Yeah, no, it'd be jarring. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go on record without looking
Which
it
is
up.
too many letters.
The jarry is not a word.
I don't think it is. At least not in our American English.
Unless you want to use it to vaguely describe a jar.
It's a bit
jarry.
jarry.
A bit too jarry for me. Could you tone down the jarriness of that jar?
Yeah. But I'm jarring. I'm currently jarring. How can I?
I'm too far along in the jarring process to be able to modify this jar.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to make this change, you should have notified me earlier on in the process. We're beyond the point where changes can be made. The final design has been determined. It's in production. Now make that door ajar and get out of here. And then once you leave, make it so it's no longer a jar. The door, that is.
Yeah.
I want the jars to remain jars.
Yeah. Turn it back into a door.
Jar. Turn it back into a door.
I don't know. I think isn't that like a stupid like riddle or whatever? When is a door not a door? When it's a jar or something.
Is that a stupid riddle or a horrible joke
or a dumb joke?
A very bad joke.
Both.
A very dad joke.
I guess it's kind of both. It's a riddle / joke, but I guess you can say a lot of jokes can be riddles.
They can be riddles. If I sold
Yeah.
that to Leo, he would probably do the old forehead smack.
Say if you sold it or
Told it.
Okay.
Like, hey,
if
Leo.
I sold that to Leo.
Yeah. I sell him jokes. Yeah, he uses at school.
Yeah. I wrote another joke.
He's really, yeah.
It's getting pricey.
He's really got me through some rough times buying my jokes.
Yeah. My son's keeping me afloat.
It is something
On this door.
Yeah, I'm floating on a door. Now I'm not
what?
metaphorically afloat. I'm actually on a body of water, stranded. What's that called? Being out at sea. It's not stranded at sea, right? There's a certain word for it. There's lost at sea, but I thought there was a word that's specific to being out at sea.
I think I can't think of anything that doesn't sound more correct than stranded at sea.
Adrift is one thing, but
Lost at sea, stranded at sea. I mean, you're making me question it. I would not have questioned stranded at sea had you not started questioning it. But now I'm like, wait, is that right? I hate that shit when you're like very confident about something, but then it's just like, but is it? And then you're like, oh man, now I have no idea. Are you trying to figure it out?
maybe this is all in my head. I mean, I looked up something that says, what is another word for lost at sea? Which they shouldn't say word, they should say like term, but it just says like missing at sea, adrift, drowned, off course, died at sea, or shipwrecked. I don't know.
Buried at sea.
Buried at sea. I mean, capsize is when your boat tips over. That's not the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's something. And gosh darn it, I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna research the business out of this.
Yeah.
Sometime.
You're not going to.
I might.
Oh.
I might.
Well, we've always talked about doing like,
I know.
you know.
We have, haven't we?
Yeah, and then we've never done it.
I mean, I think I know what you're talking about, but the results end up being way more boring than you'd hope they would be. You'd think it would be interesting, but
yeah.
And I don't know why there's any
origin of phrases and
yeah. Was it etymology or entomology? One of those two.
Yeah.
The origin of phrases or words and what their original meaning was.
Yeah,
because so many things.
I think maybe it's just we just haven't found good lists of that stuff or
yeah. They're
just. I think it's probably better if we just be like come up with our own list of ones we want to know and then look them up individually.
Yeah,
and we'd probably have a better grouping of things to talk about.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see you next Tuesday.
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Yeah.
We are on TikTok now, which makes us even cooler. HS Famous. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at HS Famous Pod. Email us directly at highschoolfamous@gmail.com. We have Patreon too, but you'll never go there. Altogether, our hearts beat as one.